This is my second video on module 3. In my previous session on module 3 or in the video from module 3, in the first video of module 3, we have seen the details about expectation, and then we have seen something on independence, and then probability density function, then meaning of ensembles, what is the meaning of ensemble, and kinds of random process and all. So today we will see what is the meaning of stationary. Okay, so today we will see the stationarity in random process. So what does stationarity in random process tells? So the stationarity carries out the sense that expectations are invariant with change in time. So normally the expectations of the random process that we have seen earlier, I think we also derived the expectation for random process when it is continuous and discrete in my previous video which we have seen. So stationarity means that the expectations are invariant with changes in time. Invariant means they are not varying with respect to changes that you see in time. So how can we come across with this is when we go on calculating these probability density functions to calculate the expectations, then we'll see how stationarity will come across when the order is considered to be an nth order. Okay, so we'll see step by step now. So normally when we take a general case, I hope this we have seen in video 1 of module 3, that the probability density function, when you take different random variables in terms of time t1, t2 till tn, we have that probability PDF to be greater than 0 or equal to 0, where x1, x2, so on, xn are varying in terms of minus infinity to plus infinity. Now what would be the stationarity for this general case is the stationarity of order n means that a multivariate PDF of order n is invariant with an arbitrary shift in time of ts. So it means that you can see in this equation, so this is the general case PDF that we have seen now, and this is the PDF which has been obtained with an arbitrary shift of time ts. So every random variable you can see it has been shifted with respect to time ts. So t1 plus ts, t2 plus ts, so on, tn plus ts. So even though this shifting is happened in terms of time ts, the probability density function will not vary, they remain stationary. They are not invariant in terms of time. So they both are equal, that is what it means. Now this is the benefit of or the meaning of stationarity in random process. So similarly when we take the stationarity of order 1, so when I say stationarity of order 1 means we will have only one term of x of t here, so x of t plus ts. So this is the shifted with an arbitrary time ts, and this is what the fx of t of x is. So they both are equal. This is a general case PDF we can see, and this is the shifted PDF what you can see in terms of order 1. So n equals 1 what we have. So therefore they both are equal, and that is simply, the fx of t of x is nothing but only time t is there, so it is a simple fx of x only. So what does this mean? In this case the PDF is independent of any time shift, hence it is independent of time altogether, right? So what would be the mean? Mean would be mu x and variance would be sigma x square. Like this variance and mean, what you can see, it is nothing but single random variable what we have seen. So stationarity of order 1 is something related to the single random variable, right? This is a single random variable PDF which we have seen already in module 1 when we were discussing about the mean and variance. So this mean and variance is simply a constant, and this is something related to single random variable when you take the stationarity of order 1. So when I take stationarity of order 2, this applies when you have two different random variables with in terms of t1 and t2 when it is shifted with time ts. That will be equal to the general case PDF without the shifting which is been seen here. So they both are equal with shifted with the arbitrary time ts, which is equal to the general case PDF what we have seen without shifting. So here you can see that in this expression t1 plus ts, t2 plus ts, we'll see t1 plus ts would be equal to t. So let us substitute that t1 plus ts would be equal to t. So where t is the arbitrary within the time minus infinity to plus infinity. Then t2 plus ts. So the second time term, second shifted term, which is t2 plus ts, would be equal to t2. So if you take ts here, it becomes t minus t1. So in this expression, if you take only ts, it becomes t minus t1. So that I am going to substitute here in the place of ts. So therefore t2 plus t minus t1 would be equal to, so I take t here plus, then I take t2 minus t1 here. Okay. So we all know what is t2 minus t1. It is a time difference, and then we'll denote that as this symbol tau. Okay. So therefore t2 plus ts would be equal to t plus tau. So what I am doing here is I am expressing this t1 and t2 in terms of t, arbitrary time t. I am expressing t1 and t2 in terms of arbitrary time t. Okay. So therefore t1 plus ts becomes t, whereas t2 plus ts becomes t plus tau. Okay, t plus tau, where tau is nothing but t2 minus t1, the difference between the time t2 and t1. So therefore this means that f of x of t1 x of t2 of x1 comma x2 would be equal to fx of t x of t plus tau of x1 comma x2, where this t plus t1 plus ts and t2 plus ts is been replaced by these two terms. So therefore the justification what we can make with this expression which we have derived is, when stationary of order 2 applies. So the above derivation what we seen is for order 2 which we have seen. The bivariate PDF depends only on time difference tau, right? See here, we have x of t, we have x of t plus tau. Therefore the only term where this particular PDF is dependent on this particular time difference tau, and that time difference is nothing but t2 minus t1, and not on all absolute time t. So which, as we said, is arbitrary with plus or minus infinity. Therefore that is how it is stationarity comes into picture. It is only depends on the time difference tau rather than depending all on absolute time of t. Okay. Therefore this is what the benefit of having the order 2. Okay. So this is what the justification that we can make in terms of stationarity of order 2 when it is applied. Now coming to joint stationarity. Joint stationarity means we are going to take two random processes, which is one random process is x of t and the other random process is y of t. If you take order 1, then you get fx of t1 plus ts, y of t2 plus ts. Now if you had only x of t, order 1 would have been only x, but here it is joint stationarity of x of t and y of t. Therefore if it is order 1, you get two different here, x of t1 plus ts, y of t2 plus ts, x1 comma y2, which would be equal to a general case PDF, and that would be equal to, again in terms of tau which we derive, then fx of t, y of t plus tau x1 comma y2. Now here, even though you take random process, two different random process x of t and y of t, we can still see that the PDF is again dependent on this time difference tau. Okay, so that is why stationarity is used here. Okay, now we have one more term stationarity, which is wide sense stationarity. So when we can say wide sense stationarity, if the random process has first and second order stationarity, then it is of course called as wide sense stationarity. Okay, it is called as wide sense stationarity. Now expectation of x of t would be equal to mu x for first order. E of x of t equals mu x is the first order stationarity. E of x of t1, x of t2 would be equal to E of x of t into x of t plus tau. This is for second order. I am saying again, this is for first order, the expectation is this. This is the second order, what you can see the expectation. Now in the second order, if you make tau to be equal to 0, if you take tau to be equal to 0, then we get E of x of t into x of t, which is E of x square of t. This is the second moment expectation which we have seen in module 1. That is would be equal to sigma x square plus mu x square. Mean square plus variance would be equal to E of x square of t, and that is for second order. When do you get this? Only when this tau difference t2 minus t1 would be equal to 0, which is tau equals 0. Okay. Okay. So if the two random process x of t and y of t are considered simultaneously, then these statements regarding stationarity may be modified in a straightforward way as needed. So if I say jointly wide sense stationarity, then E of x of t1 y of t2 would be equal to E of x of t y of t plus tau, or E of y of t1 x of t2 would be equal to E of y of t into x of t plus tau. Okay, so these things is joint wide sense stationarity that you can see when you have two random process. X of t is one random process and y of t is the another random process. Okay, now let us see what are the correlation functions that we have in random process. The first function what we normally learn is the autocorrelation functions. Okay, the autocorrelation functions. So the autocorrelation function of the random process x of t is given by the autocorrelation function of the random process x of t is given by x of t is given by the R is denoted for autocorrelation. R of tau is what we normally use for autocorrelation. In some places I have used K in the place of R. Even K of tau is also meant as autocorrelation. Keep this in mind. So the Rx of tau is autocorrelation function, which is given by expectation of x of t into x of t plus tau. Expectation of x of t multiplied by x of t plus tau. So we have seen Rx of tau is the autocorrelation function. Now if tau equals 0, as I said earlier, if tau equals 0, so what happens here is Rx of 0 so gives an average power. Okay, gives an average power in any random process. So here Rx of 0 if I take, then definitely it is nothing but an expectation of x square of t, which we have seen in the previous slide. So that would be equal to what? Variance plus mean square. Variance plus mean square. Normally when we have 0 mean, then definitely this Rx of 0 would be equal to variance, and this is nothing but power spent spectral density, what we normally the power that we calculate in any modulation techniques that we have in digital communication systems. So here Rx of minus tau would be equal to E of x of tau into x of t minus tau. Now what we are doing here is we are just replacing tau with minus tau. Okay, we are just replacing tau with minus tau. So what happens here? Rx of minus tau would be equal to E of x of t into x of t minus tau. Now let me take this t minus tau, let me replace the t minus tau with t dash. So what do I get? Rx of minus tau would be equal to E of expectation of t dash plus tau into x of t dash. So I can interchange this x of t dash and x of t dash plus tau, and then I'll say Rx of minus tau would be equal to E of x of t dash into x of t dash plus tau. Now t dash or t, they both are arbitrary time which is varying in terms of plus or minus infinity. So therefore, though t dash or t is there, this E of x of t dash into x of t dash plus tau will still be an autocorrelation function of the random process x of t. Therefore, Rx of minus tau would be equal to Rx of tau. Okay, I am repeating again, t dash or t, they both are dependent on the arbitrary function, arbitrary time, which is plus or minus infinity, because you can see here this t dash equals t minus tau. If tau equals 0, then t dash would be equal to definitely t. Okay, therefore you can still write this as Rx of tau only. Therefore Rx of minus tau would be equal to Rx of tau. Right, now see this definition, this derivation gives you one statement here. What is that is, the above equation implies that an autocorrelation function is an even function of this time difference tau. Okay, the autocorrelation function is an even function of the time difference tau. Now let us look what is cross correlation function. Suppose the two random process x of t and y of t are wide sense stationarity. If we have x of t and y of t are the two different random processes that are wide sense, that comes under the family wide sense stationarity, and if we consider them together, then we say that they are jointly wide sense stationarity. Then their cross correlation function are defined to be Rxy of tau or Ryx of tau that would be equal to E of x of t and y of t plus tau, and that would be equal to E of y of t x of t plus tau. And another thing which I want to say is Rxy of tau is never equal to Ryx of tau, but Rxy of minus tau would be equal to Ryx of tau. So Rxy of minus tau would be equal to Ryx of tau. Okay, this expression will give you cross correlation function. So further, if I derive this further, so what would be the terms Rxy of tau and Ryx of tau? So let us derive that now. So if y of t is periodic with time t, so if y of t is periodic with time t, so if y of t is varying in terms of time t, then Rxy of tau plus t would be equal to Rxy of tau. So this is what the autocorrelation function, and as we have stationarity, White's stationarity that we come across, therefore Rxy of tau plus t would be equal to Rxy of t tau only. Again, if x of t is periodic, then Ryx of tau plus t would be equal to Ryx of tau. Right? So these both are in terms of y of t, and this is in terms of x of t. Now if I take E of expectation of this x of t plus or minus k, where k is some arbitrary constant, x of t plus or minus k into y of t plus tau the whole square, which is greater than or equal to 0. Now this is in terms of a plus b the whole square if you take, or a minus b the whole square you take. This entire term in the bracket, it is in terms of a plus or minus b the whole square. So you can say a square plus b square plus or minus 2ab. So here x of t is a, ky into t plus tau is b, therefore you substitute that here. So x square of t plus or minus 2 into a into b, which is k into x of t into y of t plus tau, plus b square, which is k square y square of t plus tau. Now this x square of t is what? It is Rx of 0, right? When tau equals 0, we got x square of t in the previous slide. See here, Rx of 0 is E of x square of t. Therefore, the expectation of x square of t is Rx of 0. Then expectation of k into, so you take 2k constant outside. So expectation of x of t into y of t plus tau. Expectation of x of t into y of t plus tau is nothing but the autocorrelation function Rxy of tau. And expectation of y square of t plus tau is nothing but Ry of 0. So this Ry of 0 is when tau equals 0. Okay. So therefore Rx of 0 plus or minus 2k into Rxy of tau plus k square into Ry of 0 would be greater than or equal to 0. So this term we got by substituting these expectations which we have seen in the previous slides. If I assume k to be equal to 1, then I get Rx of 0 plus or minus 2 into Rxy of tau plus Ry of 0 greater than or equal to 0. Okay, this is what we get when I substitute k to be equal to 1. Therefore, from this expression you can say Rxy of tau would be, so if you take this in the left hand side, then I get Rxy of tau would be less than or equal to 1 over 2, because this 2 goes to the denominator, 1 over 2 of Rx of 0 plus Ry of 0. You shift this Rxy of tau to the right hand side, and then that becomes less than or equal to 1 over 2 Rx of 0 plus Ry of 0. Similarly, you can also derive for Ryx of tau, which would be again equal to 1 over 2 Rx of 0 plus Ry of 0. Here instead of expectation of y of t plus or minus k into x of t plus tau the whole square, you substitute in that way, and then you will finally end up getting this also. Okay, just interchange this x and y here in this expression. You derive here, you derive further, and then you try to take k equals 1 here, then you will end up with this second expression. You can do it in the same way what I have done here, by interchanging this x of t as y of t and this y of t plus 2 as x of t plus 2. Okay, now if k is positive and real, now we will go back to the same expression what we had here, this k square Ry of 0 plus Rx of 0 plus or minus. Okay, we will take that expression now. Now here we are not assuming k to be equal to 1. If we don't assume k equals 1, then we get this equation in terms of the quadratic equation in terms of k, right? We get a quadratic equation in terms of k, where we get the discriminant of above. You all know the quadratic equation solution will be found by minus b plus or minus root of b square minus 4ac divided by 2a. So that is the formula we use to find out the roots of quadratic equation, right? So in that b square minus 4ac is nothing but the discriminant. So here 4 into rxy the whole square of tau minus 4 rx of 0 ry of 0. So here it is b square minus 4ac. So what is b? 2 into rxy of tau. If you take square of that, it is 4 into rxy the square of tau minus 4 into a into c. So a is rx of 0 and a is ry of 0 and c is rx of 0. So therefore 4 into rx of 0 into ry of 0 is less than or equal to 0. Therefore magnitude of rxy of tau would also be less than or equal to square root of rx of 0 into ry of 0. So you got two different expressions in terms of rxy of tau. Similarly, you can also get ry of tau to be less than or equal to square root of rx of 0 into ry of 0. Therefore finally, with this expression and with this expression, we can say that root of rx of 0 into ry of 0 will be less than or equal to 1 over 2 into rx of 0 plus ry of 0. Now this is the expression that you can get for the autocorrelation function rx of 0 and ry of 0 when you take two different random functions, random processes x of t and y of t. Okay, very important derivation that you have seen just now. Now let us go with a cross covariance function. So let us go with the cross covariance. So a cross covariance function, let us see that, which is given by c. C is the alphabet which is denoted to think that it is cross covariance function. Cxy of tau would be equal to expectation of x of t minus mu x, mean of x, y of t plus tau minus mu y, which is equal to rxy of tau. This is the cross correlation function of xy. Rxy of tau minus mu x into mu y. These are the two different mean values. So cy of tau would be equal to e of y of t minus mu y into x of t plus tau minus mu x, which is equal to ryx of tau minus mu y mu x. Now with this expressions, what justification that we can make here is the cross covariance function would be equal to cross correlation function when a cross covariance function would be equal to cross correlation function when both random process x of t and y of t would have the zero mean values. If both the random process has zero mean, then cross covariance function will be equal to the cross correlation function. Okay, if both x of t and y of t has zero mean, then cross covariance function will definitely be equal to cross correlation function. The reason is mu x into mu y will become 0, therefore cxy of tau would be equal to rxy of tau. So therefore cross covariance is equal to cross correlation only when this mean mu x and mu y are 0. Similarly you can see here also. Okay, now let us look into the addition of random process. So what is addition of random process? So for that we normally consider two independent and then jointly wide sense stationary random processes, which is x of t and y of t. So first thing is they both should be independent. The second thing is they should be jointly wide sense stationarity random process. So the summation of these two processes is nothing but addition of random process, and that is given by w of t equals x of t plus y of t. W of t equals, where w of t is nothing but the addition variable, addition of x of t and y of t. Now the autocorrelation of this sum w of t is given by Rw of tau would be equal to expectation of x of t plus y of t multiplied by x of t plus tau plus y of t plus tau. See, very easier and Very simple that you can see the expression. R W of tau is nothing but the autocorrelation function of the sum W of t, which is given by expectation of x of t plus y of t is one term, and then x of t plus tau plus y of t plus tau is the other term. Multiplication of these two would be equal to the autocorrelation function. So expectation of the multiplication of these two terms is equal to the autocorrelation function of sum W of t. Now if I multiply these two terms inside, so I will get E of x of t into x of t plus tau plus x of t into y of t plus tau plus y of t into x of t plus tau plus y of t into y of t plus tau. Okay. Now what is x of t into x of t plus tau? It is nothing but Rx of tau. Similarly, x of t into y of t plus tau is Rxy of tau. Y of t into x of t plus tau is Ryx of tau. And y of t into y of t plus tau is nothing but Ry of tau. So this is the term that you get for the autocorrelation function of the sum W of t's. Now how did I replace Rx of tau, Rxy of tau? You please look into the previous slide which I have explained. So that is what I am replacing these terms with this, and that is the autocorrelation function of the sum term W of t. Now here, because x of t and y of t are independent, so they both are independent, then the cross correlation would be equal to mu x mu y. Because the x of t and y of t are independent, then the cross correlation Rxy of tau equals Ry of yx of tau would be equal to mu x into mu y. If either x of t or y of t has zero mean, because as they both are independent, you get this Rxy of tau and Ryx of tau would be equal to mu x mu y, and either x of t or y of t has zero mean. If mu x equals 0 or mu y equals 0, then this Rxy of tau and Ryx of tau will become 0, right? If mu x equals 0 or mu y equals 0, this complete term will become 0. Therefore, if you substitute here 0 and here 0, then Rw of tau would be equal to what? Rx of tau plus Ry of tau. Rw of tau would be equal to Rx of tau plus Ry of tau. It means that when the system has zero mean, so it means that when system has zero mean, then mu x or mu y, if it is 0, then you can see that the autocorrelation function of the sum W of t would be equal to the summation of the autocorrelation function of x of t and the autocorrelation function of y of t. Okay. Now the multiplication of random process is what we need to see now. Multiplication of random process is what we need to know. We consider addition of two independent jointly wide sense stationary. Again we consider two independent jointly wide sense stationary random process, which is x of t and y of t. Then okay, now we all know that x of t and y of t is independent now, and we also seen that they both are jointly wide sense stationary random process. Then what would be W of t? Simple, it is equal to the product of these two variables x of t and y of t. That is the multiplication of random process. Now let us see what is the mean of W of t, and then we will finally end up with autocorrelation function of W of t. So the mean of W of t equals E of W of t, which is equal to mu W, which is equal to E of x of t into E of y of t, and we all know that is equal to, as x and y are independent, therefore mu x into mu y is what mean of W of t that we get. Now the variance of W of t would be equal to sigma W square, which is equal to E of x of t y of t minus mu x into mu y the whole square. So which is equal to mu sigma x square plus mu x square into sigma y square plus mu y square minus mu x square into mu y square. This is something related to a minus b the whole square. I will take a square. See, when I take a square here, it is x square of t into y square of t. Now we know that x square of t is nothing but sigma x square plus mu x square. We have seen in the earlier slide, you can look into that. And similarly, if I say y square of t would be equal to sigma y square plus mu y square. And then we will see mu x square, mu y square, and then 2 into a into b So therefore 2 into x of t into y of t minus into mu x into mu y. So x of t into y of t is again mu x into mu y. So therefore you get minus 2 mu x square y mu y square plus mu x square mu y square. So minus 2 into mu x square mu y square plus mu x square into mu y square. So you are left out with minus mu x square into mu y square, and that is what you get this. So you can just expand this in terms of a minus b the whole square, and you will be ending up with this particular expression when you substitute the terms which we have seen in the previous slides. So what would be the autocorrelation function of w of t is, earlier we added x of t and y of t and we added these two terms. Now we are taking product of all four. So it is x of t into y of t, x of t plus tau into y of t plus tau, and then we'll rearrange in terms of x and x and y. So we get e of x of t into x of t plus tau and e of y of t into y of t plus tau. Finally, we know that expectation of x of t into x of t plus tau is nothing but the autocorrelation function of x, which is rx of tau. Similarly, e of y of t into y of t plus tau is nothing but the autocorrelation function of y. Therefore, rw of tau would be equal to rx of tau into ry of tau. So this is the autocorrelation function that we get when we multiply two different random processes, x of t and y of t. So similar, the next term what we can see is ergodic process. So when we say the stationary random process is equal to the ergodic process. So for a stationary random process x of t, the ensemble average that we have seen earlier, you take different readings in different experiments, and you take the collection of all these readings is nothing but ensemble. So you take average of all this, it is ensemble average, and that equals to the time average. Okay, so you take an average of any the experiments that you conduct, and you take the various experiments that you have conducted in terms of time, take an average of that, and if that equals ensemble average, then that is actually called as ergodic process. So mu x is equal to, and this mu x is something which is denoted for ergodic process, which is equal to limit t tends to infinity. So this mu x is something related to the mean of this ergodic process. So the stationary random process x of t is actually meant to be ergodic process if the mean value is this. If the mean value mu x would be equal to limit of x dash of t where t tends to infinity, and that x dash of t is nothing but the integration of x of t in terms of minus 2 to t multiplied by 1 over 2t, and that is you are taking in terms of t tending towards infinity. So for a stationary process x of t, we can view the time average x dash of t as an estimate of mean, and this is what ergodic process is all about. Definition of ergodic process is all about. Okay, till now I hope you are clear with all the terms which we have discussed. Now we will look into the spectral analysis of the random process. So spectral analysis of random processes that we are going to discuss now. Okay, and we will also see the power spectral density of the random process also here. So please listen carefully. So generally all properties of a random process should be defined by averaging over the ensemble of realization. So you can see here x1, x2 and xn till xn you can see. So you have various types of experiment, various steps of experiment you have taken, and you will take average of all these particular 3 experiments, and that becomes your that becomes your ensemble. Okay, so collection of all these experiments would be equal to an ensemble. So generally all realization of the same random process are different. So see here, first experiment is this, second experiment is this, and nth experiment is this. So therefore all 3 are not same. Okay, all 3 are not same in terms of frequency when we take. Okay, so intuitively many random process possess some interval time scales that are visible from realization. So that is what I said. When I say time scale, it is nothing but variation in terms of frequency. Okay, because f is inversely proportional to the time. So you can see this particular graph, they are all not same in terms of time scale if you take. They are varying. Okay. So therefore an average considered a collection ensemble will not give a proper spectral analysis of any random process, and that is the reason why we go with power spectral density. Okay, so one wants to analyze frequency content of a random process. That is what you see here. One want to analyze frequency content of a random process in a way similar to one for deterministic functions. There are two general ways to introduce the spectral characteristics of a random process. Okay, so that we'll see how it is. So one thing is the process is random, its autocorrelation function is a deterministic function. Okay, so you can say autocorrelation function is also one of the way where you can find out the solution for any random process. So the power spectral density is the first thing which we need to know. When we take in terms of frequency, we normally go with power spectral density term. Okay, so we have one fine theorem in finding out the power spectral density of the random process, which is Wiener-Kinchein theorem. They are the scientists who have defined this theorem, Wiener and Kinchein. So let us see what is that. If x of t is a wide sense stationary random process, if x of t is wide sense stationary random process with autocorrelation function k xs of tau, this k is nothing but r that we have discussed earlier. So k and r is one of the same. So k xx of tau, its power spectral density x of omega can be introduced as a Fourier transform of k xx of tau. So the power spectral density is nothing but, the definition is, the power spectral density S of omega is nothing but the Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function. Okay, the Fourier transform of autocorrelation function is nothing but the power spectral density. So you all know in mathematics you have learned what is Fourier transform. So similar thing which we are doing here now. So the power spectral density S of omega would be equal to the Fourier transform of kxx of tau. In mathematically, the Fourier transform we write in terms of integration minus infinity to plus infinity kxx of tau multiplied by e power minus j omega tau d tau. This is the Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function. Okay, Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function will give you the power spectral density S of omega. When I say this omega, it is an angular frequency. So therefore, the autocorrelation function kxx of tau is then an inverse Fourier transform of power spectral density S of omega. So when I say Fourier transform of autocorrelation function is the power spectral density, then I can find out the autocorrelation function by having the inverse Fourier transform of this particular power spectral density. So inverse Fourier transform of power spectral density will give me autocorrelation function. Fourier transform of autocorrelation function will give me the power spectral density, and this is what Wiener-Kinchein theorem says. So the power spectral density and autocorrelation function of a wide sense stationary random process are related via Fourier transform. This is what the Wiener-Kinchein theorem says. Okay. Now inverse Fourier transform is always taken in terms of 1 over 2 pi integrated by minus infinity to plus infinity and multiplied by the variable s of omega, and that is e power j omega tau. Here minus will be there and here it will be plus in inverse. So this is the mathematical formulas that we have seen in Fourier transform and inverse Fourier transform. We are applying that to find out power spectral density and how to obtain autocorrelation function when we have power spectral density. So let us see power of a wide sense stationary process. Okay, now let us look into the power of the wide sense stationary process. Now let us take the Fourier transform of autocorrelation function. We all know that the autocorrelation function has been obtained by taking the inverse Fourier transform of the power spectral density. Therefore, we can say that kxx of tau would be equal to 1 over 2 pi integration of minus infinity to plus infinity x of omega into e power j omega tau into d tau. Now, we will take what would be the case when tau equals 0. When I take tau equals 0, then this equation you can see e power 0 would be equal to 1. Therefore, I will be ending up with 1 over 2 pi integration of minus infinity to plus infinity s of omega into d omega. And this will give you the power. This will give you the power of the wide sense stationary process. This will give the power or the average power of white sense stationary process. So the integral over this power spectral density is power P of a white sense stationary process, that is power P is equal to the value of autocorrelation function kxx of tau at tau equals 0. Okay, at tau equals 0 we get the power P, which is nothing but the integral over the power spectral density. So therefore kxx of 0 would be equal to x of t into x of t plus tau. When tau equals 0, it is x square of bar, means x square bar, which is nothing but the autocorrelation function in terms of x of t, what we have, which is equal to P, power P. Now P equals what? Kxx of 0, which is equal to 1 over 2 pi. So you can use this both expression to find out the power P. So what is this value of x of omega? Is the power concentrated in the frequency interval. Now this graph you see, this is the graph which is variation in terms of omega, variation in terms of angular frequency that we normally take. So the difference between omega and omega plus d omega. So this interval what we see is the frequency interval. So the value of s of omega is being taken, or is the power concentrated in the frequency interval omega and omega plus d omega. Okay, so that is what which is very important that you need to know here. So that is the meaning of power spectral density. That is value of s of omega is the power concentrated in a frequency interval omega and omega plus d omega. This is a part of the graph which you can see that I have shown you in this particular exam, in this particular diagram. Okay. How do you calculate power? So power can be either calculated by the mean, or it can also be calculated by the variance plus mean square. So bar is nothing but a mean actually. Okay, if one knows mean and variance of the random process, the power can be calculated using the following formula. Now if we don't know the mean and variance, and if we know power spectral density, then we can use this formula, which is 1 over 2 pi into integration of minus infinity to plus infinity s of omega d omega. So the factor 1.25 vanishes if the spectrum is known in terms of plane frequency f. So this 2 pi is there when I have taken angular frequency omega. Now if I take frequency f, then 2 pi will get vanished. So this is the normal frequency f, whereas this omega is the angular frequency. So if I write power in terms of normal frequency, then this pi factor 2 pi will get vanished. Now what are the properties of power spectral density when white sense stationary process is being considered? So the power spectral density s of omega should always be greater than or equal to 0. It means that the power spectral density s of omega should always be positive, because the power spectral density has been measured between the frequency interval omega and omega plus delta omega. So that is what it means. So s of omega is real because power is real. S of omega is an even function of frequency omega. So how do you say that? So let us prove that. When I want to prove even function, then I should see through that s of minus omega should be equal to s of omega. So we know that the autocorrelation function kxx of minus tau would be equal to kxx of tau. I think we have seen earlier, which is rx y of tau would be equal to rxy of minus tau. That is what we are recalling here. I told you k is replaced with r. If you want, you can means that is what k is nothing but an r here. So here s of omega would be equal to integration of minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is the Fourier transform of autocorrelation is nothing but power spectral density. I am just elaborating, expanding this e power minus j omega tau term. So I will say cos omega tau minus j sin omega tau is nothing but e power minus j omega tau. So here I am going to expand this. I am going to separate these two terms now, which will give me integration of minus infinity to plus infinity kxx of tau cos omega tau d tau minus j into sin omega tau term. So here if I want to have maximum power, then the term with imaginary part should be equal to 0. Therefore if I equate this to 0, I will end up with getting integration of minus infinity to infinity kxx of tau cos omega tau d tau, or I can also write this in terms of 2 into integration of 0 to infinity. So if I change the limit from minus infinity to plus infinity as 0 to infinity, then I will multiply it by 2. So 2 integration of 0 to infinity kxx of tau into cos omega tau d tau. this is what I get when I go with S of omega. Now if I go with S of minus omega, then this omega becomes minus, so e power plus j omega that I get, or j omega tau that I get. Again, if you expand and write in terms of cos and sine, and if you separate this cos and sine separately, again you will see that instead of this minus, this becomes plus in this particular case. Even though it is minus or plus, for me the imaginary term should be equal to 0. Therefore, I will again end up with the same expression, which is integration of minus infinity to plus infinity kxx of tau cos omega tau d tau. Therefore, that is again it is equal to S of omega. Therefore, S of minus omega is equal to S of omega, and this is the proof that you can say that S of omega is an even function of frequency omega. I hope you got it. The fourth property is, wider the spectrum, if the spectrum is wider, then narrower the autocorrelation function, and vice versa. So wider the spectrum, correlation function, autocorrelation function becomes much narrower, and wider the autocorrelation function, then spectrum becomes much narrower. Okay, very important property which you can take this even in your communication subjects also. So if the spectrum is wider, then autocorrelation function will be very narrow. Now if the autocorrelation function is wider, then the spectrum becomes narrow. Okay, so for me in communications and all, I should see through that the autocorrelation function should be wider enough. Why? Because spectrum becomes narrower. So for me to communicate, the spectrum should be narrower rather than being wider. Okay. So addition of random process in terms of power spectral density, if you take. So earlier we have seen independent random process will have adding of two different random process, which is W of t equals x of t plus y of t. Similarly, we have also seen if mean of either x or y is equal to 0, if mu x or mu y equals 0, then the autocorrelation function of the summation would be equal to the summation of the autocorrelation function of x and y. So here, because the Fourier transform of a sum is the sum of transforms for the case of added. So the Fourier transform is again the sum of transforms that we get. Therefore, finally you can say that the power spectral density of the summation W of t would be equal to the summation of the power spectral density of x added with the power spectral density of y. Okay, so sum is the sum of power spectral densities. So when I take multiplication of random processes here, so when I take multiplication, earlier we have seen that W of t was equal to x of t into y of t. So if you take the autocorrelation function, we have seen that even that will also multiply. I think in the previous slides we have seen this. Rw of tau equals Rx of tau into Ry of tau. Now when you take the power spectral density of W of t, then I get Sw of tau omega would be equal to, so this is the power spectral density of the summation. Sw of omega would be equal to integration of minus infinity to plus infinity Rx of tau into Ry of tau into e power minus j omega tau d tau. In the place of I hope you all know that the power spectral density is nothing but the Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function. Now the autocorrelation function of the summation is given by Rw of tau, which is Rx of tau into Ry of tau. You replace that Rw of tau here with Rx of tau into Ry of tau, and that will give you the power spectral density of the summation W of t. I hope you got it. So therefore Sw of omega would be equal to minus infinity to plus infinity Rx of tau into Ry of tau e power minus j omega tau d tau. Therefore Sw of omega would be equal to integration of minus infinity to plus infinity. I will say Rx of tau, I will keep it as it is. Now we know that the autocorrelation function is being obtained by the inverse Fourier transform of that particular power spectral density, right? Now here Sy of u is the power spectral density of Ry of tau. Keep this in mind. Xy of u is the inverse the power spectral density of R by tau. So if I want Ry of tau, I will take the inverse Fourier transform of the power spectral density Sy of u. So I am just writing Ry of tau, which is autocorrelation function, in terms of its power spectral density, which is 1 by 2 pi integration of minus infinity to plus infinity Sy of u into e power j omega tau j u tau into du. Okay. Now we are rearranging this entire term in a different manner. So what is that? I will take 1 over 2 pi outside, which is constant, integration of minus infinity to plus infinity, sy of u, integration of minus infinity to plus infinity, rx of tau into e power minus j, this both term I will take minus j common, so I will get omega minus u into tau d tau du. Now I can say that this is again the Fourier transform of omega minus mu. This is again the Fourier transform of the autocorrelation function Rx of tau with the time function omega minus u, with the frequency omega minus u. Therefore, I will replace this entire term with x of omega minus u. Right? Sx of omega minus u is nothing but the power spectral density of x, or the power spectral density of this autocorrelation function Rx of tau when you have a frequency omega minus u. Okay, so therefore I will get finally 1 over 2 pi into integration of minus infinity to plus infinity sy of u into sx of omega minus u du. Now this equation, what you can see, this equation is the convolution equation that we have in mathematics, which is integration of minus infinity to plus infinity sy of u into sx of omega minus u du is the convolution function of sx of omega convoluted with sy of omega, which is 1 over 2 pi into sx of omega convoluted with sy of omega. Okay, so convolution, this star says it is convolution. So therefore the power spectral density of w of t would be equal to 1 by 2 pi multiplied by the convolution of the power spectral density of x and y. Convolution of the power spectral density of x and y multiplied by 1 over 2 pi. Okay, this is the derivation for power spectral density of the multiplication of the random process x of t and y of t. The next thing is the cross spectral densities. What is cross spectral densities? Okay, very simple. Sxy of j omega is the cross spectral density in terms of x and y. And if I say this power spectral density Sxy of j omega, then it is nothing but Rx, the Fourier transform of Rxy of tau. This is the cross correlation function Rxy of tau. So you take the Fourier transform of that cross correlation function, then you get cross spectral densities. And if I want the cross correlation function back, I will take inverse Fourier transform of this Sxy of j omega. Same thing. See. So similarly, if I say instead of Sxy of j omega, I will go with Syx of j omega, then it is nothing but Fourier transform of r by x of tau. Then if I want r by x of tau, then I will go with the inverse Fourier transform. The Syx of j omega equals complex conjugate of Sxy of j omega. Again I will tell you, Syx of j omega would be equal to the complex conjugate of Sxy of j omega. Star says it is the complex conjugate. Okay. Alright, so till here I hope you are clear with the concepts which I have explained you till now in module 3, which is random processes related terms and different terms that we have seen in the syllabus. So the last part of the syllabus that we have in module 3 is we are going to see what are linear systems and how to find out the output mean, cross correlation and autocorrelation of these linear systems in terms of input and output. Then finally we will see some sort of exercises with respect to the noise that we come across in communication systems. Anyhow, so this part is left out, and this details on this entire terms you can see in my next video on module 3. Thank you.